So I wanted to give you that background, not to brag, but to set the tone to get you to believe in these three core imperatives. One is a business imperative. I want you to believe that inclusivity is critical for businesses to thrive. The key word being critical, not a nice to have, but a must have. The second strategic imperative is marketing has the power to make a difference. So each one of you in your roles has the power to attract audiences and make them feel connected, right? And I know a lot of this stuff starts up at the C-suite, or it should start up at the C-suite, but there's a whole lot of place in between for you to have influence. And then tactically, this is a really important belief. DEI should be a required competency. So let that sit for a second, okay? Whether you have it or not, it should be a skill that A, you want to develop, and organizations want to develop, and one you're looking to acquire. So again, not a nice to have, but a must have because you believe that all of these things are critical for your business to thrive. And you believe you want this competency on your teams because you believe it will make your marketing better. So I always like to do a level set because when I ask this question, I get different answers, right? Now, if we had more time, I'd go around and ask you. So I'm just going to tell you very, very, very high level, because this is a whole topic, as you know, how I view it. So diversity is about the people, right? It's the characteristics and the attributes that make us who we are, right? It's a little surface to some degree, but it's generally those characteristics. Inclusion is the culture that you create within your organization that's attracting the employees and the customers that you're trying to attract. That's the culture, high level again. Equity, which often gets left out for some reason. Some companies just say D&I, or they get fancy and they say I and D, right? But equity often gets left out because it's the hardest one, because it's the systems that are used to create the culture that is welcoming the diverse people. And when you have diversity, equity, and inclusion working in tandem, you can get belonging, right? And let me just explain belonging. So belonging is the feeling that people have when they feel welcome. So DE&I is what the company is doing to create that culture, to create that welcoming, but belonging is what people actually feel from what the company is doing. And what you want is true belonging, right? So I just want to hang on equity, because it's the hardest one. This is from a report called The Equity Imperative from Deloitte Consulting. Please go read it. It's an excellent report. I pulled out just one piece of it. But it demonstrates how organizations need to think about equity in three areas, well, three spheres of influence, per se, right? So one is the workforce, that internal aspect. As marketers in your organizations, you are responsible for your people, whether you hire them or whether you're working with them. You have influence here. The second circle is the marketplace. This is what we know really well, right? Marketing and sales. But we also have the information and the data to influence product, right? And research and development and other aspects of it, supply chain. We'll talk about procurement in a second. And then, of course, there's society, right? And marketing plays a critical role in that, too. All the things that we do touch people. So whether it's intentionally through cause marketing or social activism, or whether it's just because you're trying to sell a product, what you're trying to do is create that connection with society at large, but you also want to go outside of those communities and build relationships outside of just selling. Because marketing is about building relationships. A component of that is selling, but there's so much more to what we do. And I just highlighted this area here in terms of the equity imperative because Deloitte says marketing, technology, procurement, finance, right, are all throughputs, right? So that just goes back to all the stuff that I'm doing. I'm trying to make the connection. And Deloitte said it was right. I also like to show this slide because another pet peeve of mine, equality and equity are two different things. Now you might be like, oh yeah, Karen, I know this. I just repeat it because I was talking to a couple of CEOs and they didn't know the difference, so I repeat it. Right? And so in this example, I love this example, everybody gets a bike. You get a bike, you get a bike, you get a bike, right? But it's not speaking to the fact that I might have different needs in order to ride this bike correctly, right? So equity is getting the right bike that fits you. But this is why this is hard, right? Because how are you going to do all that? I don't have the magic answer for that. I'm just going to tell you. Right? But there are incremental things that you can do using all the data that you're collecting to get part of the way there, right? And find the opportunities. And you're not going to be able to solve it for everyone, but if you're moving in the right direction, people will see that. And just to show you an example, I don't know if anyone, has anyone seen this? It's made the news, right? So this is a little boy, his name is Oliver. He was in Target, and he was, going about his business, and he looked up, and he saw this little boy in a wheelchair that looked like him. And if you read this post, he had never seen anybody like him before represented. I see you, right? It's sad, right? And his mom was like, oh my goodness, he was so happy to see this. And his mom was really happy. And they took to social media. This thing went viral, right? It's on CNN, right? So this was just an ad. And I'm going to say just an ad, or actually just a billboard in the store, because there's some other components that are missing here. You look at this, and maybe what you also see is that little Oliver, he cannot reach the clothing, right? Is this adaptive clothing? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do the advertisement or the billboard, but you also need to recognize that the systems are greater than just the advertising, right? So this is something that you can even have a conversation about with product, right? With your with R&D, with the different, whatever the departments are, right? Because it differs when it's a large or small organization. And just understand that while you're doing something good, you're going to still get some reaction that may not always be positive. That does not mean you shouldn't do it if you're acting if you're being authentic in your action, right? And hopefully you're making incremental steps to improve.